Democracy, sabi nga nila, is learning to work with people you dislike up to a certain extent.
That was Vice Presidential Aspirant Senator Kiko-Leni after the Robredo camp released its senatorial lineup with some names known to be past political foes.
Common picks were also found among the senatorial slate of the Lacson Soto team and the Pacquiao-Atienza tandem. Good evening, I'm Gretchen Ho.
I'm Robbie Alampay. You're watching The Big Story. We begin tonight with Vice President Leni Robredo unveiling her senatorial lineup for the 2022 elections.
The 11-man senatorial slate is composed of political foes and Senate re-electionists. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro gives us a front seat to this big story.
Many of the names in Robredo's senatorial lineup were no surprise. Allies stayed on as allies, but in turning the page for unity. Bitter enemies in the past have also become temporary friends. Former VP Jojo Binay, for example, joins Robredo's senatorial slate as a guest candidate. Binay was a bitter foe of the administration of the late President Benigno Aquino III when he was accused of several counts of corruption. Now he shares the slate with former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV, who accused Binay of overpricing infrastructure projects in Makati and receiving kickbacks from contractors. Robredo said that their slate was made with the idea to let bygones be bygones to serve the greater good.
Ang sinishare namin ngayon, yung aspirations para sa bansa natin. Yung kahandaan na isantabi, yung mga dating pinagdaanan at paniniwala nandun.
Adding to the mix, Senator Richard Gordon joins the Senate slate as another guest candidate. He now runs with detained Senator Laila de Lima, with whom he locked horns with in the past.
Democracy, sabi nga nila, is learning to work with people you dislike up to a certain extent.
The rest of the slate crosses not just political lines but other senatorial slates as well. Robredo's camp earlier released 6 names for its Senate slate. Then the Robredo camp added 5 more names. Interestingly, 5 of those names were also running under the banner of Reforma's Ping Lacson and Tito Soto, and the same names were also guest candidates of Manny Pacquiao.
We would like to suggest that at the minimum, you would not endorse any candidate for president.
Robredo said Bayan Muna chair Nery Colmenares is also being eyed as their 12th candidate, which would also lead to another uncomfortable marriage. Trillanes leads the Magdalo group, which is at odds with Colmenares' group from the left. But then again, nothing is impossible in politics. At the same time, Robredo dismissed the recent tirades of 2 presidential candidates that she had unity talks with.
Kung meron kaming mensaheng ipapaabot na ayaw naming marinig ni Senator Ping, edi sana si Senator Soto na lang kinausap namin.
Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro, we are One News.
To talk more about the senatorial lineups that have been announced today, joining us tonight, Senate Majority Leader Mig Zubiri. Senator Zubiri, welcome to The Big Story.
Hello, Robbie. Good evening to all, and those watching your show. Magandang gabi po.
First of all po, congratulations. Parang dalawa na lang, bibingo na kayo. You're one of the few. You're one of the few candidates who are part of 2 slates. But let me start with something I'm really curious about. Alam natin lahat, politiko kayo, tumatakbo kayo. You've seen a lot of strange things in Philippine politics. But kayo mismo, when you see Jejomar Binay running under the formerly yellow camp, when you see Leila de Lima running with the Gordon, was there anything that surprised you as well in the lineup?
In politics, the realm of possibilities are enormous, Robbie. But what is important, I think, first of all, I'd like to thank, before I go on, I'd like to thank all those who adopted me. Of course, the Vice President, Leni Robredo. Thank you very much, ma'am. To Senator Manny Pacquiao, my kumpadre, maraming salamat din po, sir. And of course, kay Senator Ping Lacson and Senator Soto, who also adopted me in their slate. Maraming salamat po. This is not new to me, Robbie. In 2016, when I ran as an independent as well, I was under the banner of Grace Poe, of VP Binay, and by Mayor Duterte at that time. The 3 of them carried me in 2016. So I think it's now become very common to have shared adopted candidates, particularly for us that are independent, Robbie. So what is important is we can work with anyone, and they've seen my work ethic, Robbie. And I think what's important there is when I was Senate Majority Leader, and formerly also the 17th Congress, I was the Majority Floor Leader. I worked through the divide. When I say I've worked through the divide, nakasama ko po yung minority at majority para maipasa po natin ang mga batas na pinakamaganda para sa ating bansa. Wala po akong tinitignan na political color. And I think they like that. And that was mentioned by VP Leni today when she said that si Senator Zubiri walang kulay, ginagawa lang niya yung trabaho niya ng maayos. And I thank her for that. And that's true. We just have to work for the benefit of the people. Wala akong tinitignan na political color kung sino ka man. Basta magkasama po tayo sa isang layunin na tulungan natin ang taong bayan. On the other candidates though, Robbie, I wouldn't really want to guess a comment on the other candidates' situation though.
But Senator, nabanggit nyo nga layunin, and that's something that a lot of people will grant you precisely because you are politicians, as you said. Hindi naman natin alam kung sino magiging kakampi natin. But for the voters, they're asking, yes, pero when we see a rainbow coalition such as this, when we see dating magkakatunggaling, biglang magkakakampi, literally overnight, ano yung values? I mean, what would you say, for example, in this particular state, what brings you together in terms of values?
Well, I guess because of my track record, nakita po nila I can work on many issues on both sides of the divide. Sabi ko kanina, minority, majority. Alam mo, si Minority Floor Leader Senator Drilon and I have worked in passing so many bills. For example, tinulungan niya po ako nung pinasa po namin yung Bangsamoro Organic Law. He was key to the passage of the Bangsamoro Organic Law. And he was the Minority Floor Leader at the time. Ito na yun, yung Public Services Act na priority ng administration. Hulaan mo sino ang sponsor sa Senate. Si Senator Franklin Drilon. And together with the minority that we're working together para maipasa po natin itong panukala para lalong lumago at gumanda ang ating ekonomiya. So nakita naman po natin na pag talagang para sa kapakanan ng ating bansa, nagsasama-sama po kami. I think that is the difference between the Senate and the other branches of government. Kami kasi, we look at the bigger picture, Robbie, and I think that is the most important. And I think that is the driving factor. When Senator Lacson, kinausap po ako ni Senator Lacson, kinausap po ako ni Senator Pacquiao, at kinausap din ako ni Senator Bam, former Senator Bam, and they said na, willing ka ba sumama sa partido namin? Sabi ko, hindi ako sasama sa partido dahil ang loyalty ko, with due respect, sabi ko, ang loyalty ko nasa taong bayan. Wala po akong partido. I won in 2016 as an independent. I'll run in 2022 as an independent. And I can base my decisions on my loyalty to the people. Sabi nila, walang problema sa amin yan. Ang gusto lang namin, yung track record mo and what you can do in the future, kung manalo ka, and we can work together. Sabi ko, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Walang problema po yan.
Senator Mig Zubiri, marami pa po akong tanong. As you can imagine, unfortunately, we've run out of time. We have to get you back on the Chiefs one of these days. Until then, maraming salamat po. Senator Mig Zubiri running again for Senator. Common candidates were also present in the different senatorial slates. Tonight's big number is 5. That's the number of senatorials who, so far, are either running as guest candidates or endorsed by the tandems of Robredo and Pangilinan, Pacquiao and Atienza, and Lacson and Soto. These candidates are Senators Mig Zubiri, Joel Villanueva, Richard Gordon, as well as former Vice President Jeje Barmiday and Sorsogon Governor Chis Escudero.
These are the other big stories tonight. The vaccination of minors aged 12 to 17 kicks off today, but some health experts are still appealing to conduct further study on possible adverse reactions for the age group. Local clinical trials for what would be the first COVID-19 treatment pill are underway. Can you guess which Norse mythology item it was named after? And cinemas are also set to reopen, but no holding hands just yet, and no popcorns as part of health safety protocols. These big stories after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. COVID-19 vaccination for children 12 to 17 has started today in some hospitals.
But some doctors are still calling for additional data on the safety of this move. Jenny Dongon has the story.
The COVID-19 vaccination of the younger age group has finally kicked off. Minors aged 12 to 17 with comorbidities are prioritized in the pilot rollout. Eligible comorbidities include medical complexity, genetic and neurologic conditions, cardiovascular disease, and obesity. Each of the 8 hospitals that have started the pediatric inoculation received over 1,100 Pfizer doses. In Pasig City General Hospital, we met Mary Ann, who did not take any chances and lined up early to get her 2 sons vaccinated against COVID-19.
Nagkaroon din po kasi kami sa family ng mga COVID na cases. So, nakita po namin yung effect na hindi po sila nagkakaroon ng severe cases sa critical nung nagkaroon po ng vaccination. So, kahit po sila nung lumabas po na may dumating po na vaccine para sa mga bata, excited naman po sila magpa-vaccine.
The 2 kids are also happy about finally getting the shots.
Para hindi kami masyadong affected pag tinamaan. Para magkaroon na rin po ng socialization, tapos makasama na rin po yung mga other classmates ganun, and teachers po.
Children up for vaccination are required to present consent forms from their pediatricians. They are also asked to undergo registration, screening, and counseling.
Kasi bata to eh. So we really have to explain more thoroughly.
No adverse effects were reported among the first 90 minors who got vaccinated in PCGH. However, the concerned doctors and citizens of the Philippines believes that it is not yet the right time to vaccinate minors.
Hingi ko sa DOH, pakita sa amin yung data na napakaraming batang namamatay. Hindi yung gagaya-gaya tayo tapos wala naman palang data.
But the health department has time and again assured parents that COVID-19 vaccines are safe for children.
If you look at the experience across the globe, yes, there would be these specific types of adverse reactions. But if you look at the numbers, it's very, very rare.
As of this afternoon, the National Vaccine Operations Center said that a total of 1,031 children in different hospitals have received their COVID-19 shots. The DOH aims to vaccinate over 144,000 children with comorbidities in NCR alone. For News 5, Jenny Dongon, Bureau 1 News.
Filipinos will get to see movies in theaters again starting tomorrow. But how safe is it really? JC Cosico has the details.
After more than 1.5 years, cinemas will once again reopen to the public beginning October 16. The resumption comes with various protocols. Only fully vaccinated individuals are allowed. This cinema in Pasig originally has a 116-person capacity, but will now only accommodate 35 people per screening. Markers have been installed in seats to ensure physical distancing. Disinfection procedures will be done every after screening.
They are separated 2 seats apart, no? So talagang they have to comply with the guidelines.
In another cinema, safety markers were placed on the floor to ensure one-way traffic. Eating and drinking will be prohibited inside. With this, some employees like cinema projectionist Julius Caday will also be returning to work.
Good news talaga. Sana tuloy-tuloy na to.
Bakit, sir?
Kasi nga kailangan makaahon din eh.
This development also excites Emily Chavez, a senior citizen, while others are still wary of their safety.
Kasi iba siyempre yung malaki ang pinapanooran. Tsaka minsan, banding nga.
Hindi po. Kasi takot pa rin sa virus. Meron naman po ngayon Netflix na pwede tayong manood.
The health department has assured the public that the reopening of movie theaters was carefully thought of.
Nakita po natin din yung trends of cases at saka yung mga iba pang mga aspeto na ating pinag-aaralan bago tayo magkaroon ng ganitong desisyon sa IATF.
The Cinema Exhibitor Association of the Philippines is elated about this development. The industry is among those badly hit by the pandemic, losing billions of pesos and rendering thousands of workers jobless. Some cinemas, however, will determine first their movie lineups and ticket prices before reopening.
Nag-vary kasi yung prices natin depende dun sa kung blockbuster yung movie.
Besides cinemas, arcades will also be open under Alert Level 3. With these eased restrictions, mall operators are expecting an influx of mall goers this weekend. For News 5, JC Cosico, we are One News.
Here are other headlines we are keeping our eyes on. Senator Manny Pacquiao says the Marcos family should return their ill-gotten wealth to the government and apologize for abuses during martial law. Pacquiao vows to look into the issues surrounding the family's stolen wealth once elected. He also slammed former Senator Bongbong Marcos for claiming to have no knowledge of the atrocities under the martial law. PDP Laban Secretary General Melvin Matibag reveals that the party currently has 7 senatorial candidates. Matibag says the party is also in talks with potential mayoralty candidates, but Matibag admits they have yet to reach out to Sara Duterte's hugpong ng pagbabago. Meanwhile, the COMELEC is expected to announce next week its decision on which faction in PDP Laban is legitimate. The Interior Department wants to investigate the One Batangas event held by the Moreno-Ong tandem over possible violation of health protocols. Interior Secretary Ed Año explains that the caravan was potentially a super spreader event as the tandem was welcomed by numerous supporters in Lipa. Moreno, however, assures Año that they followed all procedures and health protocols during the event. Time for another quick break. When we return, an experimental antiviral drug seen to treat COVID-19 is currently being trialed at the Lung Center of the Philippines. And a Jollibee buzzes off to expand in major European cities with large Filipino communities. Will Pinoys get the same Jolly spaghetti taste? Well, we'll find out after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. A pill for COVID-19 may soon be available in the Philippines as drug maker Merck conducts local clinical trials.
Merck also reiterates that its other notorious, famous controversial, the controversial animal drug ivermectin, is not a treatment for COVID. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez gives us a front seat to the story.
Local clinical trials are already underway for Molnupiravir, an experimental antiviral drug seen to treat COVID-19. It's currently being trialed at the Lung Center of the Philippines. Early data from the United States showed it can lower the risk of hospitalization and even death by half, especially for patients with comorbidities.
If we have this kind of drug and it can prevent the severity of infection among all of us here, and then hospitalizations will be down, deaths will be down, and it's going to be really a game changer. It's going to unburden our healthcare system.
Developed by pharma giant Merck, Molnupiravir is named after the hammer of mythological god Thor.
I think our chief scientist was saying that, we wanted something that would smash the virus like a hammer. So, naging Molnupiravir.
The company has already applied for authorization from the US FDA. If approved, Molnupiravir will become the first oral antiviral treatment for COVID-19 ever. Merck Philippines says the pill is definitely curative, but should be taken during the early stages of COVID.
Molnupiravir is most effective dun sa maaga pa, habang nakakaroon pa ng symptoms, dinalagnat, inuubo, nagsisipon. The usual side effects, no, nawawalan ng panlasa o hindi na nakakamoy. Kung positive na siya for rapid antigen or by PCR, pwede nang gamutin yung pasyente.
Currently, Merck has already given the patent for Molnupiravir to 8 generic companies. This will help increase production and make the drug cheaper in the long run. Merck is actually also the maker of ivermectin, the controversial animal drug that some people have been using as prophylaxis. The company itself is warning the public, please do not take ivermectin for COVID-19.
Really? Yan ipamimigay nyo sa human beings? The answer is no. No way. It doesn't work. Maraming side effect at that dose that they're pushing. Maraming nakaka-seizures, vomiting, diarrhea. It's not a safe drug at that dose. Hallucinations are part of the side effects of the doses that they are using.
Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez, We Are One News.
The Filipinos' favorite bee is taking over Europe. Despite the pandemic, Jollibee continues to ramp up its European expansion, starting with major cities in Spain, Italy, and the United Kingdom. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez has this report.
Jollibee is on a mission to conquer Europe. At a time when local sales have slowed, the homegrown fast food giant is aggressively expanding in countries where there is a large Filipino community.
Our end goal really is to become a household name across every country. And here now with 13 stores with every major city in the UK.
When it opened its first branch in Madrid, Spain a few weeks ago, thousands of customers lined up starting from the night before. The Madrid store is their largest in Europe so far and features a modern tropical look. Jollibee says people came for the chicken joy, but also new additions like the spicy chicken burger and sriracha loaded fries. As for the big question, will the spaghetti be sweet?
In terms of ingredients, there will be some slight changes. 90% of our menu will remain authentic and true to the... However, there will be some adaptations, so there will be some introductions to some local favorites.
In the Philippines, Jollibee had to close more than 480 stores last year due to the prolonged lockdowns. It then decided to focus on overseas markets, taking advantage of the global economic slowdown to push into the US and Europe. True enough, it says food traffic in Europe has almost gone back to pre-COVID levels.
In the UK and then Europe, we've seen people now start to get confidence again to return to the city centres, and we've gone from having 0% dining business back up now to 60%. I expect by Christmas we get back to those 100% numbers pre-COVID.
The Jollibee Group now has more than 5,800 stores in 34 countries. It also owns brands like Dunkin' Donuts, Tim Ho Wan, and Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez, We Are One News.
For the big story in sports, the San Miguel Beermen forced a Game 7 match between them and the TNT Tropang Giga after a convincing Game 6 victory, 103-90. The Beermen led by as many as 26 points and only trailed when the Tropang Giga scored the first 2 points of the game. 5 different SMB players tallied double-digit scoring to drag the top-seeded Tropang Giga to a winner-take-all rubber match set on Sunday. In the second game, the Magnolia Hotshots will move on to the PBA Finals after defeating the Meralco Bolts in Game 6, 93-85. It was tightly contested between the both teams, delivering blows back and forth. But in the end, it was the Hotshots that prevailed and will now wait for the winner of the SMB TNT Series.
Queen Elizabeth just got a new wax figure at Madame Tussauds Museum in Blackpool, England. Her Majesty's waxwork was carried through the town in a horse-drawn carriage. It was then brought to the House of Wax with the wax figures of Prince William and Kate Middleton. Of course, it will not be Queen Elizabeth without her corgi. A model was also made to accompany Her Majesty. A total of 23 waxworks have been created for her. The latest figure is in commemoration of the monarch's upcoming Platinum Jubilee next year.
Very beautiful Queen Elizabeth.
Galing, ano? Pati yung corgi.
No, di ba? Yung corgi ko nakarelate eh. But tomorrow, speaking of tomorrow, alert level 3 na tayo. What's the first thing that you'll do?
siguro gigising ako sa bahay tapos buong araw na ako magdamag sa bahay.
Bahay pa rin.
Hindi pa rin, hindi ko pa rin kaya.
Magsinihan o kaya
Hindi.
lumabas.
Ano pa rin, parang ingat pa rin. I'm happy for the malls, I'm happy for everybody, all the businesses. Good luck to everyone. But at the same time, aminin ko,
Still
medyo
take care.
safety
medyo
muna.
apprehensive pa rin. Pero isa lang ang hindi natin pipigilan, mag-travel around the world. Walang quarantine. Yung bubuyog, si Jollibee.
Oo.
Keep on traveling the world and keep on raising the flag.
At saka tandaan natin, yung bilin sa report natin, kailangan matamis ang spaghetti.
Congratulations, by the way, to Heidelin Diaz, who is their new endorser. Proud tayo.
Okay. Heavy ka.
That wraps up today's big story. Catch us again on Monday, 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Mask on.
Wash hands.
And stay safe, Philippines. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. We are One News. Have a good evening.